It's hard to believe. But here we are, heading into Week 8, and the Baltimore Ravens are sitting at Uma Vitoria and Cinco de Rodas. That's right. A team many thought would be among the top contenders in the AFC, possibly even the entire league, is now one of the laughingstocks of the NFL. And if things couldn't get any more embarrassing, well, the Chicago Bears decided to rub a little salt in the wound. Let's set the stage here. The Ravens are limping through this season, a team full of stars, stuck in neutral, and looking like a shadow of what fans expected. Meanwhile, the Bears, of all teams, are on a surprising winning streak. And what do they do heading into this matchup? They drop a not-so-subtle jab at the Ravens on social media. A video showing ping-pong tables, video games, and what looks like a relaxed and fun locker room, posted just days after reports surfaced that veteran players in Baltimore demanded all distractions be removed from their own facility. Coincidence? Yeah, nobody's buying that. This isn't just a case of bad optics. It's a full-on identity crisis for a franchise that used to be feared. The Ravens once walked into stadiums and owned the field with their toughness, their swagger, and their physical dominance. Now, they're the punchline. Teams are making memes out of them. They're the team opponents want to schedule for homecoming. It's surreal. And this Bears video? It's not just a little poke. It's a statement. A statement that even bottom-feeder franchises feel bold enough to clown Baltimore. That tells you everything about where this team is mentally and how the rest of the league sees them. And that brings us to the heart of the issue. The Ravens need a spark. They need it badly. The team is crumbling from within. The offensive line is a mess. The play calling feels disconnected, and the coaching staff is out of answers. And now all eyes are back on one man, Lamar Jackson. Because when the Ravens need a miracle, they look at number 8. On Thursday, Lamar was back at practice. Earlier in the week, he was over 20 minutes late showing up to the field. Fans were panicking. Rumors were flying. And then suddenly, there he is, moving around, practicing, and giving just enough hope that maybe, just maybe, he'll suit up on Sunday. But let's be real. It's not just about whether Lamar plays. It's about what kind of support he's getting. Because no matter how talented he is, if the offensive line in front of him continues to play like it has, he won't make it to Week 9. Daniel Falale and Andrew Voorhees have been turnstiles out there. The numbers back it up. Falale ranks dead last in the NFL in average time to pressure among guards. That means defenses are getting to the quarterback faster through him than any other guard in football. That's not just bad. That's catastrophic. And yet, offensive coordinator Todd Monken doesn't sound too concerned. When asked about possible personnel changes on the line, his answer was vague at best and dismissive at worst. No major changes, he said. Just looking forward to having Patrick Ricard and Ronnie Stanley back. That's fine, but let's not kid ourselves. Ricard's a fullback. He can help in pass protection, sure, but he's not going to fix a broken interior offensive line on his own. And Ronnie Stanley? He's been injured more than he's been healthy in the last few years. So banking on his return as the fix feels more like hope than a plan. The frustration from fans is completely understandable. People are begging to see Corey Bullock or anyone else get a shot in place of Falale. And they're not asking for a superstar. They're asking for someone who won't collapse the pocket in under 2 seconds. That's it. And if the coaching staff won't make the move, what message does that send to the locker room? That accountability doesn't matter? That performance doesn't dictate playing time? The irony here is that Tyler Linderbaum, the Ravens center, is having a solid year, ranked 4th among all centers in the NFL. But the guys next to him are sinking the ship. It's not even about effort anymore. It's about competency. And at this level, with this much at stake, you can't afford to keep running out a duo that has proven week after week they can't get the job done. Look, we get it. Coaches want to give players a chance to grow. Continuity matters. But this isn't preseason. This isn't about development. This is about saving a season. And if you're not willing to at least try a new combination up front, what exactly are you waiting for? A 7th loss? Another injury to Lamar? Because let's be clear, he got hurt sitting in the pocket, not running downfield. That should terrify this coaching staff. So where do the Ravens go from here? They're hoping that bringing back Patrick Ricard will stabilize things. Monken called him an elite football player, praising his ability to play on the line of scrimmage and in the backfield. He's tough. He's smart. He's reliable. And he might be the only guy on this offense right now who you can say that about with confidence. But asking Ricard to fix everything is unfair. Just like asking Lamar to carry the whole team is unfair. And yet, that's where we are. The vibe around this team is off. The confidence is gone. And now, you've got outsiders mocking you with passive-aggressive social media posts. That's what happens when you lose the respect of your peers. And the Ravens, somehow, have done just that. From Super Bowl hopeful to weekly punchline. But maybe, just maybe, this is what they needed. Maybe the Bears gave them that little extra fire. That locker room bulletin board moment that wakes a team up. You never want to be on the receiving end of a joke, but sometimes that embarrassment is exactly what gets guys to respond. The NFL is a league of pride. These are alpha personalities. No one likes being clowned. So maybe this jab from Chicago is the slap in the face the Ravens needed. Now it's on the coaching staff to show they can adapt. It's on the front office to recognize when it's time to make tough decisions. And it's on the players to play with some pride. Because right now, the fans are watching, the media is watching, and the rest of the league is watching. Everyone wants to know, can the Ravens dig themselves out of this hole, or are they just going to lay there and take it? The question on everyone's mind now is simple. Will Lamar Jackson be on the field Sunday? And what version of Lamar are we getting if he does play? Because while he practiced for a second straight day this week, the reality is this. He's coming off a hamstring issue, and that kind of injury doesn't just disappear overnight. It lingers. It nags. And it only takes one bad cut, one awkward plant, and suddenly you're right back where you started. That's the danger the Ravens are dealing with right now. But here's the thing. This team doesn't have the luxury to be cautious anymore. They're backed into a corner. 1-5. The season's hanging by a thread. They either risk it with their star quarterback or risk falling into a hole they'll never crawl out of. From the outside looking in, all signs are pointing toward Lamar suiting up. He's practiced multiple days. He looked smooth, focused, under control. Maybe he wasn't going full speed, but he didn't look tentative either. He didn't look like a guy who was struggling. And that's massive. Because let's be honest, if Lamar isn't playing, the Ravens' chances of beating anyone right now drop dramatically. They can't afford to trot out a backup and expect to outscore teams when their offense hasn't looked right in weeks. And it's not just Lamar that's getting healthy. The entire team seems to be benefiting from the bye week. Key guys like Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Patrick Ricard, Zay Flowers, and Ronnie Stanley were all full participants in practice. Even Roquan Smith, who's been battling a hamstring injury of his own, is trending in the right direction. It's about time this team caught a break in the health department. Because the excuses are running out. The roster is getting back to full strength. The preparation time has been there. The opponent isn't elite. If the Ravens can't win this game, you really have to start wondering what's left to salvage. But health alone won't save this team. They need urgency. They need physicality. They need attitude. Because right now, it feels like this roster is going through the motions. They're playing not to lose. They're hoping someone makes a play instead of demanding it. That mentality doesn't win in the NFL. And it especially doesn't win in October and November when the games start meaning more. Defensively, the pressure has been non-existent. Through 6 games, this team has 3 takeaways. That's it. 3. And in a league where turnovers are often the difference between winning and losing, that's a stat that screams trouble. Pressure on the quarterback has been just as bad. David Ohabo and Tavius Robinson lead the team in sacks, and neither one of them has played since week 2. That's not just a problem. That's an indictment on the front 7. And the front office knows it. That's why they finally made a move this week, adding Carl Lawson to the practice squad. He's not a superstar, but he's a veteran pass rusher with a history of success. A guy who, when healthy, can win one-on-one battles and get after the quarterback. At this point, that's all they need. Carl Lawson isn't going to save the season. Let's get that straight. But he's a start. He's a body. And if he's got anything left in the tank, the Ravens need to find out fast. Maybe he gets a few snaps this week. Maybe not. But his presence alone should light a fire under a group that's been way too quiet. The edge rushers on this roster have not stepped up. The interior guys aren't getting enough push. And quarterbacks have been far too comfortable standing in the pocket, scanning the field, and making easy throws. That has to change, and it has to change now. And you want to talk about urgency? Let's look at the trade deadline. It's right around the corner. And these next 2 games, against the Bears, and then a Thursday night showdown with the Dolphins, are going to tell us everything about how the Ravens view themselves. If they win both, maybe the front office goes aggressive. Maybe they swing for a proven starter. But if they lose even one of those games, don't be surprised if this team becomes sellers or simply stands pat. Because there's no point in mortgaging the future for a season that's already off the rails. What complicates things even more is how much this team is relying on unproven players. Guys like Trenton Simpson and Kean Martin are playing major roles they were never supposed to play this early. Injuries have forced the Ravens to accelerate the development of young talent, and while some of them have stepped up, it's a big ask to expect consistency from rookies. That's what happens when your veterans go down and your depth isn't deep enough to compensate. And this is where coaching comes in. John Harbaugh and his staff are under the microscope. The game plans have been bland, the execution sloppy, the in-game adjustments have often been non-existent. Todd Monken's offense hasn't clicked the way people hoped. The lack of creativity in the red zone, the inability to protect Lamar, the failure to establish the run game consistently. These are all things that fall on coaching. And now, more than ever, coaching has to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. The matchup against the Bears is crucial for more than just the win-loss column. It's about pride. It's about setting the tone for the rest of the season. It's about responding to being mocked by an opponent who shouldn't have the confidence to even take that shot. And if the Ravens come out flat, if they let Chicago push them around on their home turf, then this whole conversation changes. Because then you're not just a team in a slump, you're a team that's given up. But if they come out and punch first, if they dominate the trenches, force turnovers, get Lamar back in rhythm, and make a statement, then maybe, just maybe, this season can still be salvaged. It starts up front. It always starts up front. The offensive line has to play better. The defensive front has to find a way to generate pressure. And the team as a whole has to start playing with that Ravens edge again. The one that used to make other teams nervous. The one that earned them respect. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. There's a storm brewing in Baltimore, and not the kind that rolls off the harbor. Late last night, DeAndre Hopkins posted 2 simple words on social media. Thank you, Baltimore. No explanation, no hashtags, no emojis. Just that. And within minutes, the football world went into overdrive. The veteran wide receiver, who joined the Ravens in what many saw as a high-risk, high-reward signing, has been nothing short of a revelation this season. His chemistry with Lamar Jackson clicked almost instantly, adding a new layer to the team's aerial attack. But now, after months of highlights and headlines, his cryptic goodbye has fans and insiders wondering, is this really the end of Hopkins' Baltimore chapter? Sources close to the locker room suggest that Hopkins has been reflective in recent weeks, talking about unfinished business and legacy. Some believe he's eyeing one last big move, perhaps to a contender stacked for a Super Bowl run. Others whisper about internal tensions regarding contract structure and offensive direction. One thing's clear, this isn't a random post. Hopkins knows the power of his words, and this one feels deliberate. The Ravens, for their part, have stayed silent. No official statement, no leaks, just a digital vacuum that's fueling even more speculation. Could this be the calm before a major announcement? Or is Hopkins simply expressing gratitude as he renegotiates a new deal behind the scenes? Fans flooded his feed with messages ranging from heartbreak to hope. Say it isn't goodbye, one wrote. Run it back with Lamar, pleaded another. Yet, beneath the emotion, there's an undeniable sense of inevitability. Players like Hopkins rarely linger long in uncertainty. They move with purpose. Whatever comes next, thank you, Baltimore, feels less like a farewell and more like a curtain call, the closing act before a new beginning. And if this really is the end, Hopkins' impact on Charm City won't fade anytime soon. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.